Daniel Carter stood in the middle of a dusty auction yard, staring at 6 rusted tractors lined up in a forgotten corner. Their paint had peeled away years ago, weeds grew around their tires, and their engines hadn't run in decades. The crowd couldn't stop laughing. Look at those piles of junk. Nobody would waste money on them. Even the scrapyard wouldn't want those tractors. Daniel heard every word, but he stayed silent. As a single father raising his young son Ethan alone, he had learned long ago that people would always have opinions. What mattered was believing in himself when nobody else did. When the auctioneer announced the tractors, nobody raised a hand. The machines were considered worthless. Then Daniel lifted his bidding card. The crowd turned toward him. One farmer laughed loudly. "Daniel, have you lost your mind?" But Daniel didn't lower his hand. A few minutes later, he became the owner of all 6 tractors. The laughter grew even louder. People shook their heads as he signed the paperwork. What nobody knew was that Daniel wasn't seeing 6 broken tractors. He was seeing an opportunity. Life had not been kind to Daniel. 3 years earlier, he had lost his wife to a sudden illness. Overnight, he became both father and mother to Ethan. Money was always short. He worked long hours on rented farmland and spent evenings fixing equipment for extra income. Even then, paying bills was a struggle. Some nights he skipped dinner so Ethan could eat better meals. Yet no matter how difficult life became, Daniel never complained. Every morning he woke up with the same goal, to build a better future for his son. When they arrived home with the tractors, Ethan stared at them in disbelief. "Dad, are these really ours?" Daniel smiled. "They sure are. But they don't even work." "They will." That night, after Ethan went to bed, Daniel walked outside with a toolbox and a flashlight. His journey had begun. For the next 2 years, Daniel worked harder than he ever had before. During the day, he farmed rented land. At night, he repaired tractors. He spent countless hours searching for spare parts, studying old manuals, and rebuilding engines piece by piece. Many nights he worked until sunrise. His hands became rough and scarred. His clothes were permanently stained with grease. More than once he thought about quitting. But every time he looked at Ethan sleeping peacefully inside the house, he found the strength to continue. Slowly, the impossible began to happen. The first tractor started. Its engine roared to life after years of silence. Daniel couldn't stop smiling. Then the second tractor worked. Then the third. Within 2 years, all 6 tractors were running again. The machines looked completely different. Fresh paint covered their bodies. Their engines performed like new. And soon, local farmers began noticing. New tractors were expensive. Many farmers couldn't afford them. When they learned Daniel had reliable equipment available for rent, they became interested. At first only one farmer rented a tractor. Then another. And another. Within months, all 6 tractors were booked almost every week. For the first time in years, Daniel wasn't worrying about bills. The rental income changed everything. Instead of spending the money on luxury items, he reinvested every dollar. He bought more broken machinery. He repaired it. He rented it. His business grew steadily. The same people who had laughed at him now came asking for advice. Some even wanted to become his business partners. Daniel remained humble. He never forgot where he came from. 5 years later, another opportunity appeared. A large piece of farmland became available for sale. Most investors ignored it. The soil was poor. The irrigation system was broken. The land had been neglected for years. People said it was worthless. But Daniel had heard that word before. Worthless. They had used it to describe the tractors too. Ignoring the criticism, he purchased the property. Once again, the town laughed. And once again, Daniel went to work. For years he improved the soil, repaired irrigation systems, and introduced modern farming methods. The results were remarkable. Crop production increased dramatically. Profits rose every season. The farm became one of the most productive operations in the region. As the years passed, Daniel expanded even further. He purchased additional land. Built storage facilities. Created transportation networks. Signed contracts with major food distributors. His small farming operation transformed into a massive agricultural company. Investors who once ignored him now competed for meetings. Business magazines featured his story. Agricultural experts studied his methods. And then came the moment that shocked everyone. Financial analysts estimated the value of Daniel's farming empire at more than $100 million. The single father who had once struggled to pay rent had built a fortune. The man who had been mocked for buying 6 rusted tractors had become one of the most successful farmers in the country. Years later, during a community celebration, Daniel was invited to speak. Hundreds of people attended. Many of them were the same people who had laughed at him years earlier. A reporter stood up and asked a simple question. "Daniel, what was the secret behind your success?" The crowd waited for an answer about business strategies or investments. Instead, Daniel looked toward the front row. Ethan, now a grown man, smiled back at him. Daniel pointed toward his son. "That was my secret." The audience became silent. Daniel continued. "Every risk I took was for him. Every late night. Every sacrifice. Every difficult decision." Then he added something nobody forgot. "Most people see what something is today. Successful people see what it can become tomorrow." The room erupted into applause. As Daniel walked off the stage, he remembered the laughter from the auction yard years ago. It no longer bothered him. Because those 6 rusted tractors had given him something far more valuable than money. They had given him a chance. And he had been brave enough to take it. The end.